In this lesson, we're going over one more recording option in Canva, and that is the ability to record your screen, the ability to do screen capture. And this is potentially game-changing for anyone that might want to record tutorials of software or other things, because previously in those present and record options that we looked at under the share menus here, this present and record, you were only recording your Canva application, your Canva presentation. But now suddenly you have the ability to share and record other things on your computer, and that potentially is game changing. So let's get into it and look at a few examples. Okay, so once again, under this Uploads tab, I'm going to use the Record Yourself option, and that is again going to take us into this studio. But in this studio now, instead of leaving it on camera only mode where it's just using your camera, I'm going to go into screen share mode. And once I get into screen share mode, I will be able to turn this camera off if I want to, or keep it on. But let's go under the options you see in screen share mode. So you have the ability to record your entire screen, which would be anything on a given monitor. So I currently have 3 monitors open, 3 monitors connected to this computer, I should say. So I could record any one of those monitors, and it would record whatever I'm doing on those monitors. I could also record one of my open windows, so one of my applications. So I have this Photoshop application open. I could record just Photoshop. I have Chrome tab, so my browser that I'm using to record now on Canva. I can record any one of my browser tabs. So you have all of these different options. So let's just jump through them and show them each briefly, and then we'll work through a full example. So for entire screen, if I chose screen 1, I'll choose that, and I'll go ahead and choose share. So the first thing I'm going to see is it's this weird inception thing, because right now I'm sharing the screen, but right now I'm looking at the window that I'm sharing, so I'm getting this weird mirror in mirror effect here. But if I were to suddenly click over to a new tab, then suddenly you're going to see this on your screen, and you're not going to get this weird picture-in-picture. So you could start recording here, and then you would navigate to a new tab once you started recording, so that you were seeing that as you recorded. So that's one option. But let's go back in and look at the other options. First of all, you can turn this camera off once you're in this screen share mode, so I can have that picture-in-picture turned off. I'll leave it off for now. You can record accompanying video of yourself talking just like we did before, but for screen capture, you don't have to. You can if you want to. So let's go back in here and look at the options again. So we're going to go back into screen share. This time, instead of entire screen, I'm going to go under window mode and show you that you can choose an application. So I have this Photoshop application open on my screen. So if I click share now, then suddenly I would be sharing and capturing my Photoshop application. So if I were to now hit record, then I could go over on that monitor and I could start in that application making edits here, and I could record myself doing a Photoshop tutorial. Within Canva, I could record a Photoshop tutorial. So that's pretty crazy. That's something different than from that present and record option. Now suddenly you can record other software. Okay, but we're not going to do that. Let's look at the other options. So the final screen share option, which I haven't talked about, is just recording a Chrome tab. So I would not want to do the particular tab I'm on now, this one, because if I choose this one now, there's not going to be a way to come out of this picture-in-picture view because I am just stuck in the tab that's my recording tab. So if I do record just a tab, I want it to be a different tab than where I've launched this recorder, if that makes sense. So I'm going to come back under screen share, and I am going to choose a Chrome tab, but I'm going to choose this Happy Easter Facebook post, and I'll go ahead and share that. And so now suddenly this is what I'm sharing. So I'm sharing this particular tab, but I have to go back to my other tab here, and I have to hit this record button here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit record. And when I hit record, what we're going to do is we're going to record just a little tutorial. I'm going to be working on this Facebook post, but I'm going to record a quick tutorial on how you use quick search in Canva when looking for different elements to put in your design. So I'm going to hit the record button now, and then once I do, I'm just going to start talking and doing a little tutorial on how to use the quick search in Canva, and we're going to see the results that we get. So here we go. I'm going to hit record, and now it's not going to be recording my camera, but it is recording my voice as I talk over, and it is recording what I do on my screen. So we're going to hit record now. And then as I do, I'll jump back over to that browser tab that we're sharing. And so this beginning part of this, if I need to trim this off, I will, but now I'm going to start my tutorial. Hey, in Canva, did you ever know you can search for elements without ever leaving this screen right here? On your design screen, all you have to do on your keyboard, just tap that / on the keyboard. It's going to bring up this magic search bar. You can search for anything you want. So if I search for something like Easter Bunny, then suddenly I can filter my results. And so if I want a photo, I can click here. I can scroll down through the photos. I can find something I like, and then I can go ahead and add something to my design like that. Now I'm going to get rid of that. We'll try that again. I'm going to again / on your keyboard. Again, you can just type things right in there. And then if you want to come in here and you want to search and you want to filter it, go ahead and click on what you want, scroll down, find what you want, and you can add things to your design just like that. So again, that's the / on your keyboard. It's going to bring up this search box, and you can look for elements right here and add them directly to your design without ever having to come to the menus over there. So sometimes this can be a nice little time saver. Okay, so that's the end of my little tutorial. And then so what I would do is I would come back here, make sure I hit done. And then when I hit done, I can throw it away if I don't like what I've done. I can hit play here to see it. If I don't like it, I can throw it away. But what I'm going to do is just save and exit. And then that will bring it here into Canva. So under this videos tab, we're going to see it start to upload. It's going to start to play automatically, but so I'm going to stop it so I don't have to talk over it. But so it's playing, and it's also loading here. So depending on how big of a video, how long of a video you just recorded, it is going to take a little while to upload here. You're going to see this fill as it's uploading. So just have a little patience with this. And I also say that sometimes playing this back, I found it be a little finicky and laggy, and sometimes it gets stuck on loading. So this is one of those things. If you're doing this sort of recording in Canva, find a computer with the best internet connection possible, and then even then, you're reliant on Canva side of things too, running smoothly on their end. And I don't think this is something that they have perfectly perfected yet. So if you have some bugs, you're just going to have to work through them the best you can, and then hopefully this is something Canva is going to improve and improve more and more, because this really is a game changer if you can start to record video like this way, like this. Now, of course, I've done a tutorial on Canva here, but from within Canva I could have recorded a tutorial on Photoshop or anything else I could show on my computer screen. You can capture anything on your computer screen. You can do the voiceover. So now it appears to have fully loaded here, I think, or pretty much. So let's go ahead now, and I'm going to drag this playhead back to the very beginning. We're going to hit play, and we're going to see what we get. And again, we'll see if it trips up here or whether it plays smoothly all the way through. Let's just take a look and listen. Browser tab that we're sharing. And so this beginning part of this, if I need to trim this off, I will, but now I'm going to start my tutorial. Hey, in Canva, did you ever know you can search for elements without ever leaving this screen right here? On your design screen, all you have to do on your keyboard, just tap that / on the keyboard. It's going to bring up this. Okay, so I'm going to pause that because I don't want you to have to listen to the whole thing, but I'll just scrub through here towards the end just to hear a little bit of the end. So we'll pick it up right about here and hit play again. Now, here's the type of thing that is happening sometimes when you start to overwork Canva. You see, once I scrub through and I hit play again, it didn't immediately play. Let's try that again. So, every now and then it gets lost. And when that happens, what you really need to do is just close out of a couple windows, maybe try to relaunch your Canva project and get it working again. But I'll hit play again over there. So sometimes this can be a nice little time saver. Okay, so that's the end of my little tutorial, and then so what I would do, so there we go, it's working now, but sometimes you will have this little glitch, a few little glitches, where sometimes Canva just gets overworked. But if you stay patient, if you work with it, it will come together and it will work. You just have to be a little patient with it. Okay, so now that we have this, if I was going to really create this and turn this into a YouTube video, or a video that was going to upload to a platform like YouTube, I would probably want to do a little bit more. Like I have some sections at the beginning and the end that I would want to trim off. So let me just come here on my timeline. If I drag my playhead, if you don't see your playhead like this, you need to drag your playhead. You can always come down here, and right now, see, it's got that little thumbnail view or film strip view. If I click on this, then it's back over to my monitor view, which is up here, my project window. I want to be on the thumbnail, and then I can always zoom in or out a little bit. So if I zoom out, now I can see this. Now I can add new slides. Now I can grab my playhead and bring it back. So I'm going to grab my playhead, and I'm going to start by trimming off that initial part that I don't want in my tutorial. So I'm going to hit play, browser tab that we're sharing. And so this beginning part of this, if I need to trim this off, I will, but now I'm going to start my tutorial. Okay, so right here is about where I want to trim, but if I might have to get precise there, then you can always zoom in more. So see how I zoomed the way in now? So I hit play now. Hey, in Canva, okay, so right back here, if I hit play, hey, in Canva. Okay, so that's perfect. So I want to trim it right there. Now you have a couple different methods for trimming. Again, I could zoom back out and I could just grab this end and I could pull it to my playhead. So that's one option. Now it doesn't, well, it sort of does snap there when I get close. You see how suddenly it sort of snaps there? So now if I hit play again, hey, in Canva, did you ever know? So now I've trimmed off the beginning. For the end part that I want to trim off, I'll show you the other method you could use here when trimming. So again, I'm going to zoom to about where I think I need to trim. Nice little time saver. Okay, so that's the end. Okay, so that was close to where I need to trim. I went a little too far, but again, I'll zoom in closer. So I'm using this zoom timeline. Now, I made this mistake here where this time I zoomed in my project window. So let me take this back to fit. And then I want to make sure this is on the little film strip. And then that's when I want to zoom. That's when I'm zooming on my timeline, okay? So this will switch back and forth if you're not careful. So you want to zoom on your timeline here and not up in your window. But let's see what I have now. So sometimes, and again, you can use that space bar instead of having to click play every time. You can just hit the space bar to play and stop. So I'm going to drag this back, hit play. Elements right here and add them directly to your design without ever having to come to the menus over there. So sometimes this can be a nice little time saver. Okay, so I'm again using spacebar to stop, and that time after I say time saver, that's when I want to stop. So I'm gonna drag it back again, hit the spacebar one last time. This can be a nice little time saver. Spacebar to stop. Now that's where I want to trim this time at the end of this. Now I showed you before where you can just drag the ends, but another trick you could use sometimes is if you have this little three dots at the end of your film strip, wherever the playhead is, you can come in and split the clip at that point. So if I split at that point, then I can get rid of this part and then just keep this last part as the beginning part. And this should now end at time saver because that's where I split the clip. So let's just to see that, I'm going to drag it back and hit my spacebar one more time. Over there. So sometimes this can be a nice little time saver. Okay, so with this clip correctly trimmed, I would then want to add in any other slides, any other elements I want with this. So if I was going to do this for YouTube, maybe I'd put on some sort of intro and then some sort of outro. So again, I'm going to add some more slides here to my video timeline. Now, if you can't see this plus icon, then just make sure again that you're on this strip here and you can size down your timeline so it's a lot smaller and it becomes easier to work with when you're adding new material like this. Sometimes you want to be zoomed in, sometimes you want to be zoomed out. So I'm going to add 2 new pages here. So I'm going to add a page and then add a page, and I'll just grab this first one and I'll just drag it to the beginning. You can reorder clips that easily on your timeline. And again, when you see that blue sort of rectangle around one of the clips, that lets you know that's the highlighted clip. So whatever you have highlighted, that's what you're going to see on screen, and that is the highlighted clip. And so you want this highlighted when you're going to add something to that. So under my templates here, I'll just intro from the templates here, and I'll just grab any of these. We're not going to spend too much time on this, and I'll just come in here and I'm just going to type my tutorial. Again, you would spend more time on this, but I'm just doing something really simple just to show you how easily you can use these assets to enhance what you have. So you have this little animated intro that's going to play now before you get into your talking part of your tutorial. So that intro would play. Hey, in Canva, did you ever know you can... Then it goes into the talking part of your tutorial, and then at the end, we would just want to add one more thing at the end. So again, same thing, come under templates, and I'm just going to type into YouTube subscribe, something like that. I spelled it wrong. Let's try spelling it out. Subscribe, left out. So there we go. So I'll just grab this one, keep it simple. And then again, your videos would overlay if you uploaded it to YouTube. You would have videos overlaying these. So I would actually get rid of the videos themselves. So I'm not actually going to need that part of it. But so that's you get the basic idea. So here's the basic idea. Just plays the intro, plays your video, then plays your outro. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to go ahead and download this. So we're just going to go now, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to share this, and we're going to go to download, and I'm going to download this as an MP4. And we will, in a minute, play back and see the results of this. I'm going to save this now, and then I will show you the results in just a second. And then once this is downloaded here, I'm just going to click on this, and it should open that up here on my screen. And let's take a look at what we have. Now you could imagine I could have added some music over top of this. I haven't done that. But here it is, intro animation. Hey, in Canva, did you ever know you can search for elements without ever leaving this screen here?
Screen tutorial.
On your design screen, all you have to do on your keyboard, just tap that / on the keyboard. It's going to bring up this magic search bar. You can search for anything you want. So if I search for something like Easter Bunny, then suddenly I can filter my results. And so if I want a photo, I can click here. I can scroll down through the photos. I can find
And so this is
something
all
I
pretty
like,
cool because this is
and then I can go ahead
100%
and
done
add something to
within
my design
Canva.
like that.
I'm not using
I'm gonna
any
get rid of that. We'll
expensive
try that
screen
again.
recording
Again,
software.
/ on your keyboard. Again, you can just type things right in there. And then if you want to come
And so
here
I did
and
a video
and you
of
wanna
Canva
filter it,
about,
go ahead and
about
click on what you
Canva
want,
from Canva,
scroll
but I could have
down,
done
find what
any
you
other
want,
software
and you
program,
can
anything
add
else. I
things
could
to
have
your
shown
design, like
anything
just like
else
that.
from my
So
computer.
again, that's the / on your keyboard. It's going to bring up this search box, and you can look for elements right here and add them directly to your design without ever having to come to the menus over there. So sometimes this can be a nice little time saver. And then it goes into that end screen that I added. So again, I could have added some more music. I could have added some other things, but to be able to my computer. So again, that's the / on your keyboard. It's going to bring up this search box, and you can look for elements right here and add them directly to your design without ever having to come to the menus over there. So sometimes this can be a nice little time saver. And then it goes into that end screen that I added. So again, I could have added some more music. I could have added some other things, but to be able to do all of this, to be able to do screen capture, to be able to bring in some of those Canva assets that already exist. We know there are lots of great free Canva assets you can use to be able to combine all of that into a video, and then to have this new video editor where you can do things like trimming away those mistakes you made, things like that. You could add, a video of yourself talking if you wanted to have that little frame within the screen over top of your screen recording, or by itself over top of some slides you created. This is all very powerful. So I really think Canva has taken it to the next level, and I really encourage you to play with these screen recording options, play with these screen capture, the ability to share your screen, and really see what you can create in Canva. I think you're going to be really surprised at how much you can do, so I really hope you like these new features in Canva.